Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So just as promised, today is Monday, September 23rd, and I am bringing to you guys the very first episode of my mini budget series here on YouTube. I am going to basically spend the next 5 weeks bringing you guys different videos relating to budgeting. So today's video is on how to start a budget when you have a weekly pay period. So all about what you need to do to start a budget, the basics of starting a budget, and then also how to align your bills across a month or a week's pay period so that you can split them up across your paychecks. So that is the very first episode. Stay tuned next Monday the 30th for how to start a budget with a bi-weekly pay period. Episode 3 will be coming October 7th, which is Basics of Debt Snowball. Episode 4 is October 14th, which is Basics of Sinking Funds. I've had a lot of questions about how to start up sinking funds, what categories you should save for, and how much money to put in there. So that will be episode 4. And then to end the series, we are going with episode 5 on October 21st, which is meal planning on a budget, which is another category that I get so many different questions on with how I meal plan on a budget and some tips and whatnot for that. So stay tuned. We will jump right into episode 1. Alright guys, so we are just going to jump right into how to start a budget when you have a weekly pay period. So a weekly pay period are obviously those who get paid, such as myself, once a week. So my paychecks for my full-time job are direct deposited into my account every Friday. So every Friday morning that money hits my account, and Fridays are the days that I budget because those are the days that I get paid. So the very first step, no matter if you get paid on a weekly pay period or bi-weekly, or even if you get paid on a monthly basis, the very first step that you need to do is to write out your budget. So what that means is you need to write out all of your bills. That includes expenses, any bills that you have, utility bills, mortgage, rent, insurance, all of your bills that you have. And plus, if you're already doing sinking funds and utilizing those, you would want to add those into your bills as well. So write down a list of every single bill that you have, and then you also need to write out all of your income. So the very first step is write out bills. Now, what I do is every single month I make a budget. So I keep all of my budget anything related to budget in my Erin Condren Deluxe Monthly Planner. I have this so I can easily flip open to the month that I'm in, so I'm looking at my month overview. And what I do is I write out all of my bills. You do not have to use fancy stickers or anything like that. You can do whatever you want. Whatever fits into your budget at that particular time, or whatever fits into what you are more comfortable with doing. So I write out my budget. I take all of my expenses. I have my debt in here. I have different things for my kids, such as activities that I have to pay for on a monthly basis, as well as their school lunch. I have my utilities in here, rent, TV, phones, stuff like that, my car insurance, and then down here I also have things that I'm going to be using for the month that is not necessarily, it's kind of more of a variable amount, but I make it stick that way. So I have gas, groceries, spending, and then these last 3 items for me are my sinking funds, which I have car maintenance, kids, and Christmas. I will get into sinking funds in a later video, as you guys have seen, but this is what you need to do. You need to write out every single bill, expense, anything that you have, you need to get it written down. That is the very first step, and it is so important that you do that. You get it all written down so you can see where you're at with your money. So once you have all your bills written down, the next step would be to write out your income. So obviously you can't pay bills without an income. So you also need to write that out because you need to see what or how much income you have coming in, and then what of all of that income is going to bills. Now that you have all of your bills written out and all of your income written out, so it's down on paper and you can physically see everything that you have, all of the money that is going out towards bills and all of the money that is coming in from income, you now need to decide how you want to pay those bills. So the most common way that people pay bills is on a monthly basis when they're due, or some bills may even be due bi-weekly or weekly, whatever you have it set up. So with that, so say you have we'll bring this back in, say my Capital One credit card payment for $170. This is obviously a monthly amount. So for me, on the first of every month, this amount is due. Now, maybe $170 isn't a big deal, but when I get down to like my car payment, which is $612, that is a huge expense to come out of one paycheck. So if I'm not budgeting correctly, or maybe even at all, and I get paid, let's say, $600 every single week, and now I have not budgeted, I haven't saved, and I now need to pay $612, and it all has to come out of that one check, well, that doesn't work out so well. And even if you do make more, so say I make $700 a week and I have a $612 payment, that's still a huge chunk of my check going to that bill all at one time. So the way that I have found to be the easiest for me to kind of alleviate the stress of having so many larger bills come out of one check at one time is to split those payments up amongst my paychecks. So what I do next is I write down all of my bills just like you did in step one, and then I also write down what their monthly payment is. So right now I am paying the minimum monthly payment on my bills, and I also write the due date for those. So I'm just going to add that back to step one. So when you're writing out your bills, you can just go back and add in the minimum payment as well as the due dates. This will help you because you need to figure out from that minimum payment how much you need to take out of every single check so that when that payment becomes due, you now have all of that money set aside ready to make that payment, and you didn't have to do it all at one time, taking out such a large chunk out of your check. So just gonna flip over here. Let's say, for instance, your phone bill. All right, let's say it is $100 per month. And let's say the due date is on the 1st of the month. So every 1st of the month, you have to pay $100 for that phone bill. So rather than waiting until the 1st of the month and then having to pull that $100 from your paycheck in one whole amount, we're going to break that up so that you are pulling that money out 4 weeks in advance every single week. That way when the 1st of the month comes, you have that $100 set aside ready to pay, and you've already been planning on that for the last month, so it's not a burden or a large chunk coming out of your check. So I'm going to get into a calendar here. It will make it a little bit easier to show you guys. Okay, so since this is the 23rd of September, I'm going to pretend like this November 1st is the very first day that we need to pay that $100 phone bill. So we have an entire month to plan for this one payment. So what we're going to do is we need $100 by November 1st. So we're going to break that $100 up into 4 pay periods. So on the Fridays or whatever day of the week you get paid on a weekly basis, remember this is only for weekly pay periods, you are going to, on October 1st, or 4th, I'm sorry, you are going to take out 1/4 of that $100. And that is because you have 4 different pay periods to come up with that. And we're actually going to start on the 11th. So on the 11th, you are going to take out $25. So what I do is I just transfer it, I calculate 1/4 of all of my bills, and all of that money combined, I transfer it into a Capital One 360 savings account. I have talked about this in another video, so you can go watch that if you're interested in all about the Capital One 360. It works very well. So I'm going to take out $25 on the 11th. I'm going to take out $25 on the 18th. I'm going to take out $25 on the 25th of October, and I'm going to take out $25 on the 1st of November. Those 4 combined amounts is going to get me to that $100 payment, which I am now going to pay on November 1st. So if we take that, so that $100 a month means that $25 is going to be paid on October 11th. Another $25 is going to be paid on October 18th. Another $25 on October 25th. And the last $25 on November 1st. So now, these combined amounts that I had been planning for an entire month prior to the bill being due equals my $100, which I will now be able to pay in full on November 1st. And instead of having to pull $100 out of my $500 a week paycheck, I was able to kind of alleviate some of the stress and pull it out in $25 increments each week. It just makes it a little easier to budget, and it frees up your money a little bit, just not making it so not overwhelming to pull a big chunk of money out for a bill all at one time. So that is just an example of how to do it. So I'm going to go back into my budget here. And so if you see this, so I have Capital One is due on the 1st, PayPal is due on the 11th, and so on and so on. Obviously, all of these bills are not due at the same time every month. The due dates are scattered across the month. As you can see here in my monthly overview, I have bills due, a credit card here, TV here, my daughter's tumbling there, Walmart, or no, those were expenses, a phone bill here, another credit card, car insurance, this is a loan, car payment. So I have bills scattered all throughout the month, which any normal human being who pays bills does. It doesn't work out that all of your bills are due on the 1st of the month. It just doesn't work that way. So because bills do not work that way where all of the payments are on the same days and it makes your budget nice and easy, we have to find a way to work around all those different due dates. So what you want to do is you want to write out, like I said, all of your bills, all of the minimum payments a month, or the payment that you're going to be making. Perhaps you're making, more than your minimum payment, which is great. And then all of your due dates. So these are just samples or examples that I'm using. So let's say you have a credit card that is $50 and it's due on the 1st of the month. Your TV bill is $48 and it's due on the 8th. Your rent is $500, it's due on the 1st. Your insurance is $125, it's due on the 15th. Your phone is $75 and it's due on the 25th, and utilities is $140 and it's due on the 30th. So as you can see, these are strictly bills. These are not gas, groceries, spending money, sinking funds, anything like that. These are just your priority bills that are due on the same day of the month, the same amount that you have, all of your bills. So what you need to do now is we are going to get back out our calendar. There it is. Okay, so we're going to get out our calendar and we're going to put them side by side here. Zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so since we're working, we're going to act like we are getting these payments ready for the month of November. So we have all of October to plan for them. So I'm just going to go down the list here. I am going to take that first bill, which is my credit card, for $50 that would be due on November 1st. So what I'm going to do is I have 4 weeks to come up with that $50. And so I am going to first divide that monthly payment by 4, because that's how many weeks there are in October. There's 4 weeks, and that's how many paychecks I will have before that bill is due. So I'm going to take that $50, divide it by 4, which is $12.25. So that is a key number. This is the weekly amount that I am going to be taking out for this credit card, so that after the 4 weeks, I will have that complete $50. So I'm just going to write up here, weekly amount. And so for credit cards, that one is going to be $12.50. So we're going to go down the line here and do that quick. So next is TV, which is $48. Again, we're going to divide it by 4. So TV is going to be $12 even on a weekly basis. Rent is $500. So that's going to be $125. And I guarantee you that $125 is going to be such an easier amount to take out of your weekly paycheck than $500 all at once. Next is insurance, which is $125. So that's going to be $31.25. Next is phone, which is $75. So that is going to be $18.75. And last is utilities, which is $140. We'll divide that by 4, which gets us to $35. So those are the weekly amounts that we are going to be taking out of our check every single week. So what I want to do now, just to kind of show you guys, I'm going to total these up so you can just see the difference between a monthly amount and a weekly amount and just how much simpler it makes it. So if we take the monthly amounts of these bills, $48, $500, $125, $75, and $140, we come up with $938. And as you can see, like this one is due on the 1st, this one is due on the 1st, the other ones are kind of spread apart more throughout the month. But now if we do the weekly amounts, we're doing $12.50, $12, $125, $31.25, $18.75, and $35. So $234.50 every single week is going to be going into an account, or you can withdraw it into cash so that you don't spend it and put it aside. Whatever your preference is, this amount right here is going to be set aside every single week that you get paid so that by the time that monthly payment comes due, you have that amount set aside and ready to go because you've been budgeting and planning for it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with credit card, which is $50 due on the 1st. So we're taking out $12.50 every single week. So our very first payment would be October 4th. So when we get paid on Friday, October 4th, we are going to take $12.50 out of that paycheck that week and put into a different account. Zoom out a little bit more. So let's write, trying to figure out how I want to do this. We'll use this. So on 10/4, we are going to be taking out $12.50. And then for TV that is due on the, so then let me back up to credit card. So on the 4th, we're going to be taking that out. We're also going to be taking it out on the 11th, on the 18th, and on the 25th. Then by the time November 1st comes around, we have that entire $50 to put towards that minimum payment. Now, as you can see, the next one is TV, which is due on the 8th, which is also a Friday. So you can do this one of two ways. Since it's due a week after the credit card bill is, you can either stretch those payments out to 5 weeks because you will essentially have 5 weeks to come up with that money, or you can take it back to 4 weeks and maybe not start until the 11th. It's up to you. So if you did 5 weeks, and the reason because 5 weeks, so let's just say it's the beginning of November, so we have the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, the 25th, and the 1st to come up with that money that's due on the 8th. So if you did that and that bill is $48, you would do $48 divided by 5, so you would only have to take out $9.60 each of these weeks. But then you would have to remember that then you need to change it because it would be due again on December 8th, which is a Sunday, and you would then only have the 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, so you would have to go back and divide that by 4. So you can do it either way. I normally divide them out by 5, or even if there happen to be 5 pay period or 5 Fridays or pay periods in the month, like as you can see, November is a 5 Friday month, so is January, and so was August of this past year. So there are months that have 5 Fridays, which are paydays. So I normally just then take my bills for that month, divide them by 5 instead of 4, and because I basically have one entire extra paycheck coming in, but my bills essentially are the same for the entire month. So with your TV then, if you divided it by the 5, because you're going to just lessen the amount that you have to take out each week for this month only, you're going to take that 48 divided by 5. So on 10/4, you are going to be taking out $9.60. So now rent is due on the 1st, so we have to do it by that 4 because we only have the 4 weeks to take it out in. So we're going to do that $125 on October 4th. The next one is insurance, which is due on the 15th. So the 15th is another Friday, and again, we're adding a whole nother week onto that than we did the TV. So that would essentially be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So if we did that $125 and we divided it out by 6, we have to take out $20.83. And I'm just going to round up. So $20.84 on the 4th. Phone bill is $75, and that's due on the 25th, which is a Monday. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to get that. So that's $75 divided by 8, so I would be taking out $9.38 on the 4th of October. And then I would take that amount out every single week until the 22nd. I would pay that phone bill on the 25th, and then I know that I only have 4 weeks until it's due again, not the 8. So it would go back to this $18.75 amount, which I would take out on Friday, November 29th, Friday, December 6th, Friday, December 13th, and Friday, December 20th, and then it would be due on the 25th. The last one would be utilities, which would be due on the 30th. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks before that is due. So 140 divided by 9 would be 15.56. So those would be the weekly amounts that I'm going to take out on the 4th of October. Now if we total up those amounts here, which you want to do because you want to keep track of how much money you have to either set aside in a different account or just know that it's in your checking account and try not to spend it. We know that we have $192.88 that is basically already taken for bills, just hasn't left your account yet. So now I'm going to just go down here and we are going to now go with October 11th payday. So on October 11th, now I know that my credit card and my rent were due on the 1st, so I was taking out that weekly amount, which was the $12.50 and the $125. So I'm going to do that again. So basically all of these are going to be the same. Maybe I'll just do that. So this one is going to be $125 times 4 weeks. This one is also going to be $12.50. This one is going to be $125 times 4 weeks. TV, we ended up doing 5 weeks. So that $9.60 is going to be 5 weeks. And then after that 5th week, you're now back to a 4-week rotation. Insurance was the 15th, so that one was at 6 weeks. Phone was the 25th, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 7 weeks. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that was 8 weeks. And then utilities wasn't due until the 30th, so that one is 9 weeks. So now, once you get past all of these and you've made all those payments for 1 month, then you will be back to where you're taking all of them out on a weekly basis for 4 weeks. So you need to divide that amount by 4. Or if there are 5 weeks in 5 paydays in a month, there are 2 things that you can do. You can either, like I did here, divide the full monthly payments by 5, so by the 5 weeks, and you would just be taking out less every single week, but still coming up with that full minimum monthly payment. And then with doing this, you're obviously going to have more income or more money left over at the end of every week than you do on a 4-week month. And then that extra money, you can put it towards a debt snowball, or you can put it into savings, or whatever you would like to do. Or the second option is you can continue with dividing it by 4 for the 4 different weeks. And then basically that whole last month of the payday, your paycheck, you could just put all to a debt snowball or all to savings, whatever you want to do. I prefer to divide it out by the 5, so when November comes around, I will take all of my bills, I will take all of these ones up here and I will divide them out by 5 so that I am taking out less amount out of my check every week, but still coming up with the same dollar amounts, and then I'll have more money left over from my checks at the end of the week after taking all of those out, and I put that to a debt snowball, which I'll go over that in a later video series. But that is how I do that. So it's completely optional. That part is up to you, but the basis of it is the same. You have to figure out how many paydays there are from now until when that bill is due, and then you have to divide that many paydays or that many weeks by that bill's monthly amount. And then you pay that, and then if you were on like one of these 6, 8, or 9 week schedules, then after it's paid for the first time, then you'll go back to a 4-week rotation of taking that money out every 4 weeks and dividing that by 4. So I hope that made sense to you guys. It really is quite simple once you just write down all of your bills, the minimum payments, and the due dates, and then just look at your calendar. Keep your calendar beside you with this list here. That way you can just see, okay, I know this payment is due on Monday the 1st or Friday the 1st, so I have X amount of paydays that I will get before that due date is or that bill is due, and then just divide it by that many weeks. So I hope that made sense for you guys. Once you have your budget written out for the month with your income, it just makes it easy. Then you can figure out, okay, I have all of these that I am going to take care of, and I am going to take care of them using this payment system. So every single week, I know that this amount of money is being taken out of my check and it's going towards these bills. And then you can figure out what you have for income, subtract it from what your bills are, and then you have money to play around with. You can use that extra money to put towards debt snowball. You can use it to maybe start some sinking funds. You can use it to put it into a savings account. There are so many different things that you can do with that extra money, but once you know where your money has to go, you have to pay for your bills. So once you get those written down first, then you can see how much extra money you have and what you need to do with it. And you might not have any extra money when you very first start budgeting. Most people don't, and that's okay. Once you start to pay off your debt with the debt snowball effect, you will start to see your money kind of loosen up a little bit, and you'll see some more money coming free with every debt that you pay off. So it takes a lot of work, and you definitely are not going to see results instantly, but it is so well worth it to be prepared and be organized and budget, and to stick with a schedule, stick with your budget as best as you possibly can. Obviously, there are things that come up, which happens to everybody. There are unexpected things, and sometimes those put you back a little bit, but just keep your head up, keep your chin held high, and just keep moving forward with budgeting, and you will get there, I promise you. That is all I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed the first episode of the mini budget series. And again, this one was basically starting a budget on a weekly pay period. Next Monday, I will come out with episode 2, which is starting a weekly budget on a bi-weekly pay period. So if you get paid every other week or twice a month or 2 specific days of the month, that video will be for you. So tune in next time. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Hit that red subscription button down below if you've stayed watching this video this long. I would love to have you as a subscriber, and stay tuned for my next 4 episodes of this mini budget series. Talk to you guys later. Bye!